souls that we're bringing to the light. From maps to mods to the rigs we drive, we're talking to the folks who keep this farm life alive. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. He's got questions rolling like a big John Deere, digging deep with modders so their voices we can hear. From giants of the code to the artists painting skies, he's shining up their stories like a brand new combine. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. From tractors to textures, from silos to sounds, there's a whole crew of heroes making this world go round. So tune in and find out who's behind the screen. Farm Sim Talk's the place to see what farming really means. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Day Dave, and this is Farm Sim Talk, a show where we get to talk to other creators here in the Farm Sim community and find out a little bit more about them. Today, I am joined here by Kiwi Sim Farmer. Kiwi, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, kia ora. I'm very good, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. So I see a bunch of you already out there in the chat. Gonna go ahead and give some shout outs here. Number one, always Dust Bunny. Thank you, Dust Bunny, so very much. Greatly appreciate you showing up here in chat. We got Ken Adlam, Brady Rimmer Productions, PA Plowboy. We got Pippa. How are all of you doing tonight? Hope you all are having a fantastic night. Gary Miller as well. Hope you all are doing fantastic today. Oh, yes. So, Kiwi, do you want to give us kind of a quick introduction, who you are and what it is that you do here in the community?
Yeah, I'm Kiwi Sim Farmer. I live in New Zealand and I produce farm sim videos and for YouTube, mainly live streaming because I'm just too lazy to be using an editor all the time.
I gotcha. And then you want to let us know where we can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube and Discord. Other than that, I keep a fairly low profile social media wise. So, yeah.
And do you want to give any shout outs before we get going?
Uh, yeah, there's a whole heap. Rocket Scientist, Share, Klaus, Steel Custom Fabrication, The Herd, Just Joe, Lone Wolves, Cajun Savage Gaming, Eric the Crazy Viking. They're just a few that I can think of that have been really great supporters of the channel. And of course, to everyone that's a member of the channel, thank you all so much. Appreciate you guys.
It's a good list of shout outs. I know quite a few of them actually. So, very, very nice. So, let's go ahead and get into it. We got our first segment here called Digging Up Dirt. This is the one where we get to know you for who you are, outside of the content that you produce. So, first question I have for you is do you have a job outside of creating content, or is this your primary job?
Yes, I do have a job outside of content. I'm a systems engineer for IT systems.
Okay. Okay. And what kind of roles does that entail?
Basically, it entails ensuring that people can get their email, open their Word documents, save their Word documents, not lose their Word documents, and just keep general um, infrastructure working for people.
Oh, gotcha. So you're like the front lines of, when things go wrong, you're the people they call.
Yep, definitely.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yes, very valuable position right there. I can't tell you the number of times I have to get a hold of my IT department and be like, "Hey, help." So,
Yeah, we try to minimize it by ensuring that things are running smoothly for people, but sometimes things happen.
good call, good call. So let me ask you this: how often do you have to say, "Have you restarted it yet?"
It's basically the first question we ask. Honestly, it is because it does fix so many problems. Um, I explain it that computer systems are actually hundreds of little programs all running at the same time. And if one of those little programs happens to fall over, it can cause strange behavior in a computer. And by restarting the computer, you restart those hundreds of little programs again. So restarting really does work.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you the number of times, and it got to a point to where I would call them up, and they would just like obviously ask me, "Did you restart it?" And I'd be like, "Oh yes, that's the first thing I did. Trust me, I've heard the jokes a million times." There's actually a YouTuber I follow, and I'm struggling with the name off the top of my head, but he basically goes through all the scenarios that he has gone through in his career, and just like basically dramatizes it on both ends of the call kind of thing. It's like, okay, thank you for calling IT. This is so and so, and then he's like, oh, I've got this issue. Did you restart it? It's always the first thing out of his mouth. I get a good chuckle out of it. Uh,
Definitely.
so what are some of your hobbies? Do you like to like hiking, fishing, sports, anything along those lines?
Okay, I'm a very keen photographer. I love photography, landscape photography, portrait photography, that sort of thing. Woodworking, tinkering with things, uh, PCs obviously as well. So yeah, and YouTube.
So, photography. So, from what I've gathered, from what I understand, New Zealand is a beautiful country. If I remember correctly, it's actually where they filmed the Lord of the Rings series. Um, do you ever have you ever gone out to like those neck of the woods to be able to take photos or?
I've been down there when I was working, one of my past jobs, but haven't actually managed to get down there in recreation. It's an
Okay.
expensive bit of water between where I live and the South Island, where a lot of the Lord of the Rings was filmed.
Okay, so it's like a separate part of the island there.
Yeah, yeah. Most of the real scenic things for Lord of the Rings was done in the South Island. Although we do have Hobbiton nearby, which is a little hobbit village that they built, and they've turned that into a tourist attraction.
Oh, that's cool. That actually reminds me. So over here, every single Christmas, there's a movie that plays on the television called A Christmas Story, and it was based out of a small town in, well, not even a small town, it's a very massive town actually. It's Cleveland, Ohio, and they basically did the same thing for this area where people had bought the original house, the neighbor's house, and whatnot, and basically turned it into a massive tourist attraction. My wife and I actually went there several years ago to go check it out. So we actually got to go inside the house that this old film was based off of. They have the old you might not be familiar with the movie at all, but basically, the whole running gag within the movie is the father of the family wins like this award, quote unquote, and it's this lamp that's in the shape of a woman's leg, and it's got like the little tassely like lampshade and all that. So it's like the very gaudy thing, but he's like super proud of this award kind of thing. And his wife, this is a movie that's supposed to be based, I think, like in the 40s, 50s, somewhere in that era. And the wife is just like absolutely beside herself, absolutely hates this thing because it's just so gaudy. And it's like it's got that actual like leg lamp in the window there at the house and all that stuff. It's a fun movie. I highly recommend it. Let's see. You
Oh,
also
awesome! I'll keep my eyes out for that one.
you also mentioned woodworking. What kind of woodworking do you do?
Uh, Smaller stuff, sort of like tail rails, uh, phone phone holders, phone stands, that sort of thing. So yeah, yeah, made up a rack to put my keyboard on over the top of my steering wheel for the farm sim. So yeah,
Oh,
just handy little things like that.
do you do anything like commercially or just kind of like for the household kind of thing?
Nah, just for the household, just as a hobby.
Gotcha, gotcha. And you mentioned something else there, and I'm drawing a blank. Why am I drawing a blank? Let's see. You said the photography. You said the woodworking. What was that third thing?
Yeah, tinkering with mechanics, that sort of thing.
Oh, mechanics.
Yeah.
Like do you do like automobiles or just like what kind of mechanics do you work on?
Yeah, I used to do automobiles, but I don't have room in in the shed now. So yeah, where we live, we're sort of a bit bit limited on shed space. So love to have a project car, but don't have anywhere to keep it. So, but yeah,
Gotcha.
when I was younger, I was definitely into tinkering with V8s and dropping V8s into cars and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Really? What kind of cars did you like to work on?
I was a Ford guy. So yeah, yeah. We over here we had two brands basically, Ford and Holden. Holden was GM, and Ford was Ford. And my dad had an old Ford, so yeah, I had to be a Ford guy.
So way back when I used to watch a show called Top Gear, and I know they had a version over in like Australia and whatnot. I don't know if they had one in New Zealand. I'm not aware of it off the top of my head, but I've heard of Holden, and it was one of those brands that like it was the way I understood it was basically its own kind of spin-off from GM that I'm trying to think of the car itself. It's almost like a modernized version of an El Camino, um, to where it's like the small truck with the bed, but it's like the shape of a car, like the size of a car kind of thing. Do you know which one I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. Know what you mean. Yeah, we call them Utes over here. So yeah, Ford had the Ute, Holden had the Ute. Um, so yeah, Holden actually started off as an Australian-based car manufacturer, and then was later bought by GM.
Gotcha, gotcha. And from what I understand, they actually make kind of a sporty version of those cars, and that's the reason why it got onto Top Gear was because of that like sportier version of it. They actually had like this competition between the UK presenters and the Australian presenters, and that's the one that they UK I'm sorry that the Australian presenters brought was the Ute, but it was like the souped up version of it, and it I mean looked like a nice car. I mean when all things were said and done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they did have very souped up versions of those factory souped, and yeah, they're a lot of fun. A lot of fun. No weight in the rear end, so
Just like a pickup truck here in the States, but all power and no weight.
that's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Hmm.
So basically, they're a pickup truck, but on a car chassis.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, exactly. So let me ask you this: if money was no object, what would be your dream car?
Oh, that's easy. A 1971 XY Falcon GTHO.
Ooh, an old Falcon. I like it. Okay, okay. Got
Yeah,
some good
yeah.
taste there. I think I can be on board with it. So let me ask.
Fastest four-door production car in the world, I believe.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
It was the fastest production four-door car in the world at its
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yep. No, it was a beaut back in the day. I mean, even today, it's a beaut. I prefer the older style cars and whatnot. So,
Mm,
I mean, especially compared to what we get here in the States, I mean, they're all pretty much the same for the most part, with small details here and there, but it's essentially just these monster vehicles that are way too big for anything around here. So, do you like to read?
yes, yes, I do read. Mainly science fiction. Um, Probably my favorite series of books, I don't know if you've heard of it, is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy
I have heard of it.
by
Absolutely.
Douglas Adams.
42.
42, that's the one.
Is
That's
it
the
the
answer.
Yep, that's it. Is what is it the meaning of life? What was it? The universe, life, and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. The answer to the ultimate question.
That's it. That's it. The ultimate question.
Just no one actually knows what that question is. That's the problem.
What about movies? What kind of movies are you into?
Movies, yeah, that's a tough one. Honestly, I used to really enjoy Star Wars. But now watching the original Star Wars just makes me sad knowing how it's progressed in the future. I really don't like what Disney has done with Star Wars. So sort of mourn the what could have been. I was a big reader of the Star Wars novels that followed the movie and that created a whole sort of lore about the universe and that. And Disney sort of got hold of Star Wars and threw that all out the window.
I completely understand it. I too am a big fan of Star Wars, and yeah, it was one of those where once Disney got their hands in the door, it's like, nah, nah. I
Mm.
mean, 4, 5, and 6, by far, in my opinion, were the best. You know, followed by if you rank in movies, 1, 2, and 3, and then 7, 8, and 9 to just like might as well just put them away in the Disney vault for all I care. Like never let them come back out to the light of day. But that's just my opinion. And what about music? What kind
Yeah.
of music are you into?
Um, I'm sort of more into the rock side of things. 60s, 70s, 80s. Um, Animals, Led Zeppelin, um, Guns N' Roses, uh, that sort of music. Fleetwood Mac. So
Very
yeah, but
nice.
yeah, I'll listen to almost anything. I even have a bit of Dolly Parton in my playlist.
Very nice. I like it. I like it. So, one question I always ask people is what is the oddest, weirdest movies, books, like most obscure stuff that you've come across in your day?
Um, Oldest movie book. I'm gonna have to say it's actually the same one that you've got, the
Y-
Star Wars Holiday Special.
You have been lucky enough to be graced with its presence, have you?
I would say it's wicked, but seeing that wicked is sometimes used to describe something that's really good, I'm not going to use that term.
Oh man. So have you made it through the whole thing or just a portion of it?
Yes, I think I made it through the whole thing.
Oh man.
It was a long time ago when I saw it, but I do remember the Wookiees.
A a brother in arms. I can't believe it. Here today before us all. Somebody who knows my pain. Oh. And I was talking about it yesterday's live stream that we did, the Farm Sim Talk that we did yesterday. And it was one of those where it's the original cast plus so many other people who are really big actors and actresses in those times, and it just everybody phoned it in, right?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Everyone was there, and it's just sort of like it just was so bad.
And there was that one scene with the hollow deck. Do you remember that one where they just have like the battle royale with the holograms?
Yep.
Oh my goodness, it was
Uh,
just so terrible. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I finally have found somebody who's like seen it. Like, it's like a
to anyone else
unicorn.
out there, yeah, to anyone else out there, it's got to be on your bucket list just to know how bad it really is.
It's especially if you're a Star Wars fan. If you like Star Wars,
Yeah.
you gotta find it. It's gonna be hard to find. You might be able to find it on like YouTube, if you do a search for it, but it's hard. It's hard to find. But
Mm,
once you do, buckle up because it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
yep. Yeah.
So, what would you do if content creation was no longer an option for you? Let's say your computer blew up or your recording device, whatever the case may be, and you just didn't have the means to replace it right away. What would you do in its stead?
Um, I'll probably go and take photos.
I gotcha.
Spend some time working. Go and play a round of golf or something.
I gotcha. Are you big into golf or?
No, I'm not big into golf, but I do play golf. They say it's a nice walk ruined by a little white ball, and that sums up my golfing.
That is the perfect way to describe it. I've gone golfing once in my whole life, and I enjoyed it mostly. See, down here in Florida, number one, gets really hot.
Mm,
And going around in a polo shirt and like khaki shorts kind of thing, it gets to be a little much, especially when you're a bigger guy like myself. But the other thing that gets to be, a bit much as well is the wildlife down here. Basically, down here in Florida, if water's wet, there's going to be a gator in it. Is kind of the common
yeah.
saying. And yeah, it's one of those where uh, me being the one and only time that I've gone golfing, obviously I'm hooking balls into the water right next to it, or in the sand traps. Like it's going everywhere but straight and towards the green. So yeah, needless to say, it was an interesting day and expensive too. I had to buy a lot of balls. Oof, it was a brutal day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, has it always been a dream to be a content creator, or do you feel like you just kind of fell into it?
um, yeah, I think it was more just fell into it a bit. When I was playing the game, I used to always have a, or I, no, I'll rephrase that. I used to watch a lot of Mr. CLP and Daggerwin, and when they did their role plays and all that, they always had a storyline. Daggerwin was the king of stories for quite a while. I think Scroft may have taken that crown, unfortunately, but
Hmm.
or fortunately, he's a good storyteller as well. Um, and so I started going, okay, yeah, I'm tired of just doing the plow, plant, harvest routine of farm sim. Um, and sort of when seasons came out and changed that whole routine, um, so it made your gameplay slow down a little bit. I sort of started to go, okay, so why am I here? You know, who am I? What's my backstory? And I think the big turning point for me was the map Griffin, Indiana,
Okay.
which really loaned itself to start from scratch because it had a motel. And you sort of started off walking off the motorway into Griffin, Indiana. And it was just so easy to say, yeah, I've just, hitchhiked here and been dropped off, and now I'm going to walk in, and the first thing you see is a diner. So I went into the diner, and they says, "Oh, you need to go down and talk to the so and so," and yeah, I was able to do the whole thing like that and really do a proper start from scratch. And I borrowed a bike from someone so that I could go out to the fields to do the work. And then I gradually just built up, and having that story in my mind and all that just really helped with the gameplay. And so fast forwarding to FS25, I started doing the same thing, and I started thinking, why don't I stream this and share the story with people? And that's what I did, and yeah, it's sort of just snowballed from there.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then, what kind of family dynamic do you have?
Yeah, so married 20 years,
Congratulations.
2 kids. Oh, thank you. Yep, two absolutely wonderful kids. And yeah, the family is just so supportive, and I spend way too much time playing farm sim, and but they're happy and all that. At least I'm home, and not out with the boys every night. So I think they're sort of happy about that. So yeah, and of course they can always come in and talk to me if need be. So yeah.
Are the kiddos surprised that dad is, not only playing farm sim but also like make
When I first told my youngest, she thought I was joking because I do joke about a lot of things. And she just thought I was joking.
Oh, what happened? Sorry, give me just 1 second. Oh, what? That's weird. Sorry, just give me just 1 second because I'm not sure what happened here. Everything's looking
No, that's okay.
hmm. Yeah, no, everything's looking good, but everything just kind of looked like it crashed for a second there. Anyways, um let's just say stream health, everything looking good there. Yeah, everything's looking, yeah, it's weird. Anyways, sorry about that, everybody. I don't know what happened, but everything's looking all right on my end. I'm not seeing any drop frames or anything like that. I'm seeing good signal strength. Um, hmm, very
Yeah, I've got
odd.
it
So,
showing up on my phone, and there was a circle of death showing, but
oh, there
it
was.
seems to be cleared now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That's odd. Um, so anyways, you were saying about the kiddos. You tend to joke a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I'm always joking with them, so yeah.
So they don't know when to take you serious.
No, no. Oh, they know when I'm serious.
Well,
They know when I'm serious, but yeah. yeah, most of the time it doesn't happen too too much.
I gotcha. And so, how do you create that balance between your work life, your home life, and the content creation life?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I'm not sure I've actually got it sussed yet. I wouldn't want to hold myself up as a shining beacon of doing the balance thing. Um, but I do try to have a couple of nights off each week just to spend time with the family and do some family stuff. So yeah, that's sort of how I try to do the balance thing with the family.
Gotcha. It sounds like a good way to allot some time and make sure that everybody's getting in there kind of thing. Do you like to travel?
Um, no, I'm more of a homebody, to be honest. I have been over to Australia a couple of times, but yeah, um, I've never really had a wandering spirit as such. Sort of like to stay home with my toys.
So wait, let me make sure I understand this right. You went over to Australia and you survived?
Yes, I know, shock horror. Usually it's a one-way ticket, but sorry, Australian cousins. Yeah.
Here recently on the channel, we had Boganery on who lives in Australia. I think he's in New South Wales, if I remember correctly. And that was one of the things I asked him. It's like, man, you've been around for a while. I mean, how did you do it? How did you just survive? Like everything woke up angry and wanted to choose violence that morning. The spiders, the snakes, the sharks, the crocodiles, the kangaroos. I mean, everything is just so angry. Now with New Zealand being, so close to Australia there, do you all have the same issues?
No, we're totally opposite. We don't have any dangerous animals except for ourselves. Um, uh, the most dangerous animal that New Zealand had would have been the Haast eagle, which its sole purpose in life was to balance out the giant moa, which was a ostrich on steroids.
Ooh.
um, and it was apparently big enough to be able to carry off a small human, but it died off at about the same time as the giant moa was made extinct. So yeah, so we don't have that to even worry about.
I gotcha, I gotcha. And one thing that's always kind of brought curiosity to me, and part of that is your channel name there, Kiwi Sim Farmer. One thing that I know as just being some American on the other side of the world, is that people from New Zealand are referred to as Kiwis. Do you happen to know why that is?
Yes, it's so the kiwi is a bird that looks very similar to my channel picture. Um, so it's a smallish brown bird, about probably a little bit larger than a hen. It's unique in that its nostrils are on the tip of its beak to make it easier to find the grubs and insects in the forest. Um, so it's an odd animal to have for a national emblem. Most nations go for lions or bald eagles. Animals with a bit of fear factor. And a small brown nocturnal bird that grovels around in the forest floor doesn't seem like a good one. But in the indigenous people here, the Maori, they had a legend where their god Tani came down and said, "My forest," he was the god of the forest, and he said, "My forests are being destroyed by the bugs. I need someone to help me clean up the forest." And all the birds but one said, "No, I can't help. I'm too pretty. I've got to fly. I've got to." They had all these excuses under the sun. And The Kiwi was the only one that says, "I will be willing to go down to the forest floor and save the forest for you." So the Kiwi became the symbol of self-sacrificing, and um, I believe the Kiwi first came to real prominence in New Zealand's mindset was in World War One, in one of the camps in England where the troops were stationed in. They painted a big kiwi on the side of the hill, and I do wonder if that was because they felt that they were showing a great self-sacrificing spirit to leave their home at the bottom of the world, as far away from Europe as you can get, and to go to Europe to fight in a war to protect what at the time was the British Empire. So yeah, yeah, and ever since then, we always refer to ourselves as Kiwis and are quite proud of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, the only thing I was actually aware of in regards to kiwis are their abnormally large eggs. From what I understand, their eggs are like the size of them, like as an adult kind of thing.
Yes, it's scary if you look at an X-ray of a mama kiwi bird with an egg inside, because yeah, I definitely would not want to be a mama kiwi.
No, no. That just that does not sound like fun. Like if I remember it correctly, they actually have to like relocate their ribs in order to like actually pass the egg. It's so
Mm,
large in the bird. Like it's
yep.
amazing anatomy kind of thing, and just the fact that they can physically do that is just incredible. I mean, nature is amazing. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, no, no, would not envy them in the slightest.
I'm sure they look at chickens and go, "You're clucking about that."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You have no room to complain. So, what's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Okay, I think yeah, because I'm in my mid 50s. People are genuinely surprised to find out that A, I play Farming Simulator, and B, I have a YouTube channel dedicated to Farming Simulator. So yeah, they just don't think that a mid 50s guy would be into that sort of thing.
And what would you say kind of got you? Well, actually, let's back up. When did you start getting into Farming Simulator? Like what actual FS number?
Okay, so for me, it was FS17, and I was originally in the camp of, come on, guys, really, who wants to come home and, after working all day and go and work in a field? And I couldn't see that being a fun thing to do. But then it was on special on Steam one day, and it was, hey, it's super cheap. Let's just see what it's about. I'll get to drive a tractor for a little while. That's got to be fun. And I just got hooked. I really did. Just every game session was slightly different. You always had a different type of job to do. Before then, I was Euro Truck Simulator and America Truck Simulator, um, driving trucks. And I still enjoy that. It's a great way, I think, to be able to see the different countries. They've done a really good job of that side of things. But at the end of the day, you're just picking up a load, driving somewhere, and dropping a load off. Whereas with Farm Sim, yeah, every day is just different. You're cultivating, you're planting, you're mowing grass, making hay, harvesting. And, if you really want to do something different, you can plant carrots and find out why you don't want to plant carrots again.
Yeah, no. Any of the root crops, don't know why it we've made such advancements on harvesting on so many different levels, and that's like the one thing where all of a sudden like nothing works out. What is going on? Sorry, I just so happened to look over and saw just the stream just completely. I think there might be something going on with YouTube because I'm not dropping frames. All right. Number one, everybody, I apologize. I don't think this is something on my end this time. I think this is actually something legit on YouTube. Um, like I show less than not even 1% of the entire stream here has dropped frames, so that's within something that ought to be fine. But there's something going on I think with YouTube right now. Let's see. Now it's saying it's not receiving enough. How is it not receiving? All right, I do apologize. Let's see. What is going on here? Yeah, I see everything that's coming from OBS is good. It's just something going on with YouTube. So PA Plowboy just says, not YouTube. It never has problems. Yeah, right. Oh
Just
my
ask
goodness.
YouTube; they'll tell you it's not their problem.
Yeah, it's your problem. It's everybody else's problem, but theirs. Figure being one of the biggest companies in the world that they'd figure their stuff out. Let's see. Yeah, stream health. Okay, it's starting to looks like it's okay at going right now. All right, again, people, I do sincerely apologize. Kiwi, I apologize to you too. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not seeing it as part of my end. Everything on my end is solid. It's something that's going on with YouTube, as best as I can tell. So I do apologize.
Yeah.
All right, so picking it back up, hopefully where we left off. So basically, where I think I'd left off is when did you get into the farm sim before everything kind of just started messing up? So
Yes.
what farm sim number did you get into?
So I started on FS 17, Farm Sim 17.
17.
And,
Okay.
Yep, yeah. So that came out, and yeah, what was really funny is I actually spent all my time on Goldcrest Valley because I didn't know that mods were such a big part of the game, and you know, mods were always sort of, for most other games, mods were use at your own risk, and they're not sanctioned by the manufacturer, and they're going to break your game and that sort of thing. So I stayed clear of mods. So I spent all my time on Goldcrest Valley until I decided to try Mercury Farms, and then it was just sort of like revelation. It was sort of like, wow, this is amazing.
You know what? I'm pretty sure that pretty much everybody has kind of had a similar journey with any game that has mods as a part of it. When you're just not familiar with it, yeah, I think just like everybody goes through that progression one way or another. It might not have been with Farm Sim, but just so the first game I can recall where mods were a thing was like I think it was SnowRunner, like that kind of style where it's like, okay, what is this mods thing? As I open it up, I'm like, oh, I can download stuff to actually use in game. That's amazing. And then I came over and started playing Farm Sim. I'm like, it has mods. Oh, let's go. Let's do this.
Yep. Yeah, and the modders do a fantastic job. They keep the game interesting. Yes, yeah, you've got umpteen different literations of 3 meter cultivate.
Oh my goodness, so many different cultivators in 3 meters. Oh my goodness. I just so I don't know what style of maps that you prefer. Do you prefer to be on like the small American style, or I'm sorry, the big American style maps where everything's like wide open and vast, or do you prefer like kind of small hemmed in?
I'm sort of more of a small hemmed in. So in New Zealand, basically, doesn't matter where you look, there's a hill, or if you're in the South Island, a dirty Great Mountain. Um, and so it just does not feel natural to be in the prairie where you look to the horizon and you just see prairie. It just doesn't feel right for me. I know that's what a lot of people in America grow up with, and that's normal for them. Um, but for me, it's just sort of like, this isn't right. I need a hill. I've got to see a hill.
I gotcha. No, and me personally, I prefer. I don't necessarily prefer like hemmed in, like really tight, like almost like a UK style map where like everything is like a 50-point turn to get anywhere inside your yard or anything like that. But I don't necessarily want that big expanse due to like game limitations and stuff like that. I get annoyed with that kind of render ring, as I call it. Um, so it's one of those that if I can
Yeah,
see too far out, then I see that kind of degradation in quality, and yeah,
yeah,
I kind of go from there. But being on those kind of smaller kind of style farms and maps and whatnot, you don't have to necessarily uh, look at that rendering. Everything's in high quality because everything's right in your face, kind of thing. So,
yeah, yeah.
what's your biggest fear that keeps you up at night?
Ooh, biggest fear. Uh, yeah, that is a.
Uh-oh, what happened?
I try not to.
Oh, I'm sorry, you broke up there. You mind repeating it?
Yeah, yeah. I've just sort of trying.
Ah, what's going on?
Um, got- there's quite a few different fears. Everything you can hear me okay?
Now I can. Yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so my biggest fear is my microphone not working.
As we're experiencing it right now.
No, I think, you know, not being able to provide for my family and give them not just what they need, but what they like as well. I think that's the biggest fear.
See, it's amazing on how one's mindset shifts so dramatically, like from before you have a wife and kids to after you have them, to where when you're younger and before kiddos, before you're married, you have almost this kind of like only focused on the self kind of thing. But I know that when I had my kids, and I'm sure that you had something very similar, but uh, when I had my kids, especially my eldest, like something in me just like I don't want to say broke, but it just kind of just shifted hardcore. It's like, wow, I need to buckle down and I need to do whatever it is I can do to make sure not only is she physically safe, but that she's taken care of, that she's got everything that she's going to need, and hopefully have some extra for the wants kind of thing. Did you go through something similar?
Yeah, very much so. You know, when you first hold the baby in your arms and all that, and you go, this is part of me. You know, this is and I'm responsible for creating this life, and I'm responsible for nurturing it now. It's it does give you a mind shift. Yeah.
Big time, 100%. So you mentioned earlier that you followed creators such as Mr. Sealy P and Daggerwin. You also threw out Scroff there as creators who create content that at minimum you were aware of with Scroff in regards to their storytelling. Are there any other content creators that you follow besides those ones you listed before?
Yeah, look, I have discovered so many different content creators since I've started streaming. Um, it's absolutely amazing. I mentioned a couple, Just Joe, Cajun Savage, others like FS Farmer in the UK, smaller ones like Farmhand Andy, Grumpy Grey Gamer. Um, you know, there's just so many different content creators I like watching, and I just don't have enough time in the day to watch them.
And what about content outside of Farm Sim? Do you consume any content outside of Farm Sim?
Um, yes, yeah. I do follow Tom Pemberton. He's a UK farmer. He's got a big channel. And it's interesting just getting that UK perspective on dairy farming, because where I live, dairy farming's a really big part of the economy. Um, and knowing how it's done here and how they're doing it over there, because their winters are a lot harsher. So the cows have to be housed. We don't get snow here. So the cows are just left out all winter. They get wet. They're waterproof. It's okay. But
They're covered in leather.
um, yeah, exactly. Uh, but over there, they get snow in the winter time, so you really do need to put them into a barn of some sort. So just seeing how it works a bit differently there, it's interesting, and seeing how it all works.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, and Tom Pemberton, actually here in FS, I think it was FS 22. We ended up getting their actual farm here in game. Um, was it a Bellum Road?
Elm Road, yes,
Yeah, the Bellum
yeah.
Road. And yeah, that's not a channel that I follow, meticulously or anything like that, but I am certainly aware of it.
Hmm.
Let's see. Uh, if you can meet any three people, who would they be and why?
Okay, yeah. I did do some homework on this because I had a feeling this question was going to come up. Um, I think I know it's maybe a bit cliche, but I'd like to meet my grandfather. He died long before I was born, so I never got a chance to meet him at all. He was involved in the desert campaign during World War II, um, as part of the New Zealand Army contingent over there. Um, yeah, I'd like to ask him, you know, I guess what it was like for him to have to leave his newly married wife and go all the way, halfway around the world. Um, and then when Japan entered the war, Japan was really starting to threaten the likes of Australia and New Zealand as well. Um, and I'd like to know how he felt being stuck in the desert, knowing that he couldn't be back in New Zealand to protect his wife. Um, and but I think a lot of what they call them the greatest generation, and I think they genuinely were. A lot of them never talked about their experiences, and I can understand why. They lived through it, and they saw things that they prayed we would never have to see. And so whether I'd be able to get much information from him, I don't know, but that's sort of what I'd like to do for that. um so yeah, so that's my first one. um Second one, um yeah, it's always one of those things. You're always a little bit worried that if you met someone, you'd suddenly realize that the myth that's been created around them doesn't match the real life person, and that you end up being really disappointed. Um, but I think one person I think you get to know a lot from his writings is Douglas Adams. He's the the writer of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I just liked his unique view on life and issues, and his ability to make a joke of things that were really quite important. So I think he could be an interesting person to talk to, and have a discussion about life, the universe, and everything. um, and third person, I think Harry Ferguson, the inventor of the Ferguson system for tractors.
Okay.
Um, because that was just such a groundbreaking invention, literally and figuratively, in its way it changed farming so much. I was watching the video about why it was so important to farming, and up until then, trailed implements would always be lifting the front of the tractor up because of the physics. But because of his 3 point um, configuration, the implement was actually pushing the front of the tractor down. And yeah, modern tractors, I think most modern tractors run that system or some form of that system now. And it hasn't changed much since his original system. He just got it right the first time. And there's electronic stuff attached to things now, and you can sort of push a button and it will go down to a set level, but instead of a lever and trying to guess at the right level. But you know the actual mechanics is still the same, and I don't think anyone's really been able to improve on it. He was just an amazing engineer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's like really there are certain aspects in the world of engineering that you can look to as kind of the pillars of certain things. And we think and look back at farming through all the many iterations that farming has gone through. I mean, going from doing everything by hand, needing a large family
Mm,
because that's the only thing that you're going to be able to do to be able to get enough hands on on deck to be able to plant what you need for the hard times, then going into like domesticating animals, then going into like early kind of like machinery and stuff, like all those different kind of iterations where things kind of leapt forward in the advancement. And yeah, that's one of those where, I mean, I don't claim to be the smartest man in the world by any means, but that's one of those where I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to be able to top that kind of thing, go
mm.
beyond that kind of thing. It's just one of those kind of like pillars of farming, especially nowadays, is that specific invention. 100% agree with you there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what was your first paying job?
Okay, first paying job. I joke about this. I do have a bit of short term memory loss because of it, I'm pretty sure. But back at school, they'd tell you don't sniff glue. Don't get into solvent abuse and get high on glue and all that sort of thing because you'll kill your brain cells. And then the first job they give you is working in a gas station, which is all you do all day is sniff petrol.
I laugh because I did the same job.
But yeah, that was my first paying job, was pumping gas.
Okay, do they have it to where like they actually have like attendants at your gas stations over there?
um, When I started, yes, yes. So we would go out there. Someone would drive in, and we'd go out there and say, "Hey, look, can I pump the gas for you? Would you like me to check your oil and water, and wash the windscreen and all that sort of thing?" So it was a forecourt service. Um, not quite to the same extent of Back to the Future, where the car drives up and about five people will come out and start polishing the hubcaps and all that.
Okay.
But yeah, we did provide a bit of forecourt service for people. So yeah, that was my job.
I know. I I think I shouldn't say no. I think that there's still a couple of states here where it's mandatory for you not to pump your gas. Like you can't actually do it yourself. And I think New Jersey is one of them, if I'm not mistaken. And that might have recently changed. But I remember hearing some things like in like the news or whatnot of people like genuinely like having panic attacks of like, well, how do I do this? This is sorcery to me. How do I take this wand and stick it into my car and do this myself? Kind of thing. Because they never had to learn that skill, kind of thing. It's just,
Yeah.
I just found it to be fascinating because I've never not pumped my own gas. I've never grew up in a time where that was a thing, kind of thing. So it was just one of those that was just very interesting to me. Actually, the herd says New Jersey is the only state in the United States with this law. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know if they actually changed it. I thought they were like talking about changing it, but it was definitely something interesting that came across my desk, kind of thing. But that's all the questions I have for this segment here. So now we're going to go ahead and set our sights on the chat. Now, I did see earlier that we had a super chat come through, and I wanted to go ahead and point that one out. It was from David Buttersworth. Is it Buttersworth? It doesn't say it. Why does it not say it? Come on. Hold, please. Da, 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 da. There, yes, David Buttersworth. There we go. I thought it was Buttersworth. I didn't want to pronounce his name wrong. Says, I ain't watched in a while, but still love what you do and hope you and the family are good. Keep at it, bro. Much love from me and my daughter. David, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Greatly appreciate it there, bud. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let's see. And again, a huge, massive shout out to Dust Bunny for going out of her way to gather up all these questions here tonight. Again, Dust Bunny, you are an absolute superstar. Thank you so very, very much.
Amazing part of the community.
Oh, it's incredible. All the stuff that she does, how she's so active
Yeah.
in so many different people's channels. Mine being one of them. I am absolutely blessed to have her in on this particular program. Excuse me. So actually, the first question is from Dust Bunny. She asks, "Where do you see your channel in 5 to 10 years?"
That is a really good question. In 10 years, I might be able to retire, so I might be able to dedicate more time to the channel then. Or I might need the channel to help with retirement. I'm not too sure. Yeah, 5 years. Um, really, yeah, I started the channel just to have fun and I'm enjoying it. And, for me, growth isn't the big part of it. Um, it's more about the community and being able to stream, enjoy the conversation and the chats with people in the chat screen. I'm hoping in 5 years' time I'm still able to do it from that point of view.
Gotcha, gotcha. Again, Dust Bunny, thank you so much for your question. We've got one from Pippa. Pippa, thank you so much for your question. She asks, "What is your favorite map and mods?"
Favorite map and mods. So in FS22, it was probably Court Farms. I really enjoyed that map. Um, in FS25, I'd probably say Riverbend Springs is probably still my favorite map. I haven't actually done a YouTube channel on it, but it's one of those maps where you're just driving around, and I can remember just driving down by the river and seeing a house, one of those 1970s type houses with stone columns and that sort of thing. You might remember the one I'm talking about. And yeah, I was just driving past there. The river was floating by, and I just went, I could live in that house. I would be happy living in that house. And to be able to play on a map and get that feeling, I think is just an amazing thing that the creators have done on that map.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And what about
Um,
mods?
Mods, yes. A lot of them are probably more the script mods. Sorry, console guys. But just the script mods that make it just that little bit more realistic. And you look at those mods and go, why aren't they base game? Come on. These console guys should have it too. Um, Simple things like indicator turning off, when you're
Yes.
turning and that sort of thing, it's it's not an extra button on the controller, it just happens. um, so yeah, favorite tractors, yeah, Massey Ferguson. There's some really nice Massey Ferguson mods out there. Um, I I tend not to play too much with the Colossus pack. It is an amazing pack, and he has done a fantastic job on it. And if you're doing root crops, carrots and parsnips, it's probably a must if you're going to be doing those. But um, I tend to steer clear of those sort of crops anyway because I like to try and keep the gameplay a bit more realism. So I tend to steer away, but yeah, it is a fantastic mod, definitely.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, Pippa, thank you so much for your question there. We got one from FS Played by Julian. As actually more of a statement, says, "Good luck, Kiwi. Don't go head on him, BDD." I don't know necessarily what that means, but I'll do my
I think
best.
it might be hard.
Yep,
Don't go
that
hard.
that makes sense. That makes more sense than mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, I promise I will not be too hard on him. Let's see. We got one here from Mr. No. Okay, Swim Shady. Thank you so much for your question. Says Kiwi, you mentioned your love of photography. Has anyone ever mentioned to you that you bear a strong resemblance to one of the greatest cinema photographers of all time? Except he doesn't
No.
say which photographer. Now I'm
Which
curious on which one.
which one? Yeah.
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 Uh,
Yeah. I'm curious too.
Swim, if you wouldn't mind elaborating there in the chat who exactly you're referring to, because that's not listed there. Let's see. A lot of people pointing out that the stuttering. Ken Adlam stated, Kiwi Sim Farmer is definitely a Steven Spielberg lookalike. I could see that. I could see that.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay.
Let's
I wish
see.
I had a fraction of the talent he had.
So okay, Swim Shady specified Spielberg. Yep. Okay, that was good.
Spielberg. Right.
Ken, good call there, bud. Good call. All right. Again, Swim Shady, thank you so much for your question there. Noah's Farms asks, Kiwi, what made you choose the channel name and what helped you grow your channel?
Okay, so I chose my channel name because I did want to do farming simulator videos. So I've probably tied myself into that genre pretty much. Um, and I originally wanted Kiwi Farmer. But when I tried to put that into YouTube, they said, no, that's already taken. And it is taken by a YouTube channel in New Zealand from a real farmer. So that's fair enough. That's good on him. And so I decided to add sim for simulator, and that's how I got my name. And I think um, what has helped my channel a lot, and I would encourage anyone starting out to do this too, is I watched a YouTube video and they said if you want to get your channel really kickstarted, do a vertical stream as well as a horizontal stream. And so I looked at it and thought, well, it's not too hard to set up an OBS. So I did that, and honestly, the most of my subscriptions come from the vertical stream.
Oh wow.
Um, so anyone that's starting up, do a vertical stream. It's the one that YouTube seems to be pushing out there. You know that all the kids and all that are just doing their, I think they call it doom scrolling, where they just keep flicking through the YouTube shorts all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing a vertical one, you're eventually going to pop up, and they might only spend 30 seconds or 40 seconds on there, but hey, if they hit the subscribe button, um, that helps the channel. And yeah, so yeah, and for some reason people seem to enjoy my laid back style. And yeah, you know people in the vertical, come and see what's going on, and some of them stay.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's some good advice. Again, Noah Farms, thank you so much for your question. Let's see. Next one we have is from Dust Bunny. She says, harvesting veg and root crops is easier if you use the Colossus Harvester Pack, can actually be fun. Yeah, I mean, if you go out like 50-meter working width and like a million miles an hour and all this stuff, it could be a blast because then you don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be like more of the kind of randomness of whether or not you're going to be able to actually get the crop to the sell point, let alone be able to, harvest it all properly. I don't know if you've ever like cranked that thing up to like its most ridiculous settings, like the 50-meter working with, like the what was it, like 16,000 or 1,600 horsepower, and like the whole 9 yards. Just really kind of go like bonkers with it, and then just you said earlier how you like to have those maps with undulations and hills and all that stuff. So it in my experience, it turns into more of like a jump fest.
Oh yeah, definitely.
See, one of the funniest streams I'd ever like stumbled into was back in the day with Driver 53, and I had just so happened to come in at the absolute worst or best time. And he was sitting there showing off like an early access to the Colossus. This is before it released to the general public. And he decided that, hey, let's crank this up to 11. And he just starts trucking it across the map, going as fast as that thing will take him. And then he hits this like berm, and he just goes launching out into the atmosphere with this giant harvester. It was just one of the most ridiculous slash funny things I just kind of stumbled across. I was laughing pretty hysterically on my end.
Oh yes.
Let's see. We got one here from PA Plowboy. It says, "What's your favorite tractor brand or model?"
Okay, for me, it's either going to be Massey Ferguson or Voltra. Um, and my excuse for the Voltra is, who can not like a tractor that looks like the Predator?
Oh, that is going to be trapped in my dreams tonight. I love it. I don't know what it is here lately, but as I mentioned, I tend to hop onto YouTube and I'll just kind of randomly click on stuff, and I don't know what it is here lately, but I've been getting all this like Alien and Predator themed content just like pushed onto my feeds, and like it's just like very serendipitous that you bring it up. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, I'm never gonna let that out of my brain now. PA Plowboy, thank you so much for your question. We got Rocket Scientist says FS17 was the best with modding NGL. I don't know what NGL means. Oh, not gonna lie.
No,
Not gonna lie.
not gonna lie. There we go.
Uh, I unfortunately I came in FS19, so I'm not familiar with the 17 and the mods. Um, but you have experience with it. Would you kind of back him up on that one?
Um, I probably couldn't pass too much judgment on it because, like I say, I only just got into modding with FS17 when just before FS19 came out. But I would almost say FS19 had the best maps. Alien Jim was an amazing map maker, and I really do miss his maps. He's a great loss to the community not to have him part of it anymore. Um, and yeah, I miss his, Spectacle Island. Um,
Yes.
and Sandy Bay. I think that was Oxygen David is Sandy Bay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, between Alien Jim and Oxygen David, there was some absolutely fantastic maps that came out in FS19.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. Alien Gym was a devastating loss. Um, yeah, Spectacle Island was by far and away my favorite map. It was the first map I'd ever experienced where you actually had work to do before you could actually utilize the fields. Like having to tear out all
Mm,
those trees and, just kind of building up the farm. Like that was such a
yeah,
revolutionary concept to me back in those days of you basically have this old dilapidated farm and you have to go around cutting down all the trees to kind of pretty it up kind of thing, and then you've got all the product that's like loosely spread across the ground and all that. Like it was just so it was so good. It was such a great concept, and I would love to see another map maker out there like take the effort to be able to do something similar to that. Not necessarily Spectacle Island, but just something similar. Like kind of go through like the whole build it up, clean it up, and make it your own kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Let's see. So I started laughing almost like uncontrollably when I saw this one from the herd. He says, I have a question. Kiwi is awesome. That is all.
I heard. I keep saying this. You're far too kind, mate. You are far too kind.
I read that but while you were answering the last question, and I almost just laughed like out loud kind of thing, and I had to like reel myself back in. It's like, no, no, don't start laughing hysterically because then it's going to throw you off your game. So, oh my goodness.
I honestly, I rate the herd up there with the bigger win for his storytelling. Um, his role play series just really got you hooked, and you were wanting to see what would happen next. Yeah, and it was just so well written and structured. Um, and I have a lot of respect for the herd.
Absolutely. Let's see. Herd, thank you so much for your question. Next one we have is from Ken Adlam. Says, you two will love Argsy Gaming's map. It's based in the South Island, Winchester, due to be released in December sometime, I think. Really? Okay.
Hey, that would be great if it is December. I have seen Argosy on the map, and it does look absolutely stunning in its unfinished form. I I honestly thought it was going to be more later next year, but yeah, hey, if you can get it ready by December, that's all the better.
Well, that sounds like a map tour that I can't wait to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Ken, thank you so much for that one. We got let's see. Lisa says, "Hello, Mr. BDD and Mr. Kiwi." Well, hello, Lisa. Thank
Hello,
you for joining
Lisa.
us here tonight. We got one from the herd says, "Question for Kiwi." Okay. Whew. Question for Kiwi. What is your favorite bird and why is the cassowary?
uh, oh, favorite bird. um, yeah, believe it or not, probably the Kia for me is probably my favorite bird because it is such a cheeky. It's an alpine parrot. Sorry, carrot. It's an alpine parrot, a fairly large bird. And it's very, very cheeky. It'll come up and steal food from you. And there's um, videos of it destroying cars. It's very inquisitive. Um, so that's probably my favorite bird. But the cassowary is one of those Australian birds that matches the kangaroo and the crocodile and the snakes and the spiders and everything else. It's a very angry bird. Think of a velociraptor that's still alive.
So it's a bird that chose violence, just like everything in Australia, apparently.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Uh, Bulganery, you take care of yourself out there. I don't. Again, I don't know how he survived this long. It's beyond me.
Total respect for anyone that lives in Australia.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Herd, thank you so much for your question. We got one from Lisa says, when is your favorite time to stream?
Okay, for me, favorite time is about 8 p.m. in my time. So that sort of comes through at very early American time, so it's more suitable for Europe and the UK times. It's morning for them, whereas it's super early in the morning for my American friends. But I do appreciate them all coming in and when they do. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And next question is going to be from me. Do you have pets?
Yes, yes. We have a cattle dog, believe it or not. We live in the middle of town, but we have a field. They're a breed that's more of an Australian New Zealand farm dog. Um, and yeah, but she wouldn't survive on a farm at all. She does not like getting her paws wet. She's very much an indoor dog, and yeah, she tiptoes around puddles.
Oh no. So one of the household princess.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's the part of the fun about having pets is you get to treat them better than you get to treat yourself most times.
Definitely.
So let's see. Lisa, thank you so much for your question there. Ghost Tech Gaming asks, who is a smaller FS creator that you would like to collab with in multiplayer?
Oh, yeah, that is a good question. Have done a small collab with Farmer J in the UK. He was doing a, celebration stream, so I have done that. Yeah, Grumpy Grey Farmer, Cajun Savage. Wouldn't mind doing a collab with him either. There's just so many different creators that I've met, and you know, I don't want to show favoritism to anyone because they're all as equally as good, and they've all been so supportive of my channel. So yeah, that's a really tough question.
Well, it also kind of puts you on the spot there too, is so many different people out there. If you don't say their name, then they get offended.
Yeah, yeah.
Ghost Tech Gaming, thank you so much for your question there. Next one we got is from Ken Adlam, says, what's the best harvester you've used in game?
Best harvester. I always seem to go for the class Lexins. I like those ones. Big, yeah, they got the wide 13.5 meter a header on them, good tank in them. So yeah, that's sort of the ones I usually end up focusing more towards. Yeah, I just not too. There's some really great mods that come out, and you get a lot of the American type ones with the big dome on top, and it's sort of like we don't see those over here, so that's sort of um, yeah. I guess if I'm on an American map, then I'll try to gravitate more to American equipment, but usually I'm sort of more of a UK type equipment because that's or European type equipment because that's probably more what we see over here in New Zealand is sort of more European based equipment.
Gotcha. Ken, thank you so much for your question. We got another one here from Rocket Scientist, says, wait, what happened to Alien Jim? He hasn't been around in a while. He hasn't been around since, well, I mean, I think he did a couple of maps in FS22, but they were like
Mm.
very, I think there was what, No Man's Land, and then he did like a
No
rock
Man's
quarrel
Land.
map, and that was pretty much about it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. No, he's I have heard he is focusing his modding skills on Rust now. Um which is a huge bonus for that community and a huge loss for us.
Big time. Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree with you more there. Let's see. Rocket Scientist, thank you so much for your question. We got one from the herd. Says, thank you, Kiwi. Kiwi is an incredible streamer.
Thank you, Herd.
Let's see. We got one from Noah Farms. Asks, Kiwi, what is your favorite FS25 map?
FS25 map. Like I say, probably Riverbend Springs for the emotions that it brought out on me. When you drive around and you go, "Oh, I'd like to live there. I want to live there." And for a map to develop that kind of emotion in you, I think Giants did such a fantastic job. Um, and yeah, for a mod map. Um, I'm really enjoying Saxlingham at the moment. Um, and another one is Darheim. That's a smaller European German map. I'm really enjoying that one. It forces you to use smaller equipment. Usually I'm big harvesters, big tractors, big planters, and all the rest of it. Just let's get everything done. But the fields are a bit smaller in that map, so you have to use medium tractors. It just feels more natural. So it's nice for a change.
There's a map out there, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what it is. But when you kind of described your kind of map preferences, it made me think of it. And it's basically, think of like mountain farming, kind of thing, to where you got mountains to like all directions. You got one main road that
Mm.
kind of leads right in the middle of the map, kind of thing, going basically east to west. And then you got all these like mountain passes and trails and stuff. Um, yeah, I just for some reason when you mentioned like your preferences there, that's what kind of came into my brain. But I wish I could remember
Yep,
the
I
name.
know the one you're talking about. I can't think of the name, but yeah, it's very much of you're in a valley and there's not a lot of fields in the map. There's more forestry, I think. So yeah,
Well, so
yeah, I know that.
there was actually two of them that were very similar, and there was one that was like almost purely forestry, but then there was another one where it was kind of a similar map where it's like the valley, like you mentioned there, but there are several other like fields like kind of strewn about the map. There's just you got to take like
Yeah,
mountain
yeah,
passes and stuff to get up to them.
yes, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Let's see. Noah, thank you so much for your question. And Noah actually has another one here. It says, "Hi Kiwi, I love your content. You sometimes make me laugh. You are my favorite content creator. So is BDD."
Oh, thank you, Noah. Appreciate the kind words.
Absolutely, Noah. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate that. Let's see. We got Raxamilius says, "BDD, why didn't you not ask me about pets?" I mean, in all fairness, I did kind of have a cue from Kiwi's side of the things. So it just kind of, I don't know, came rocketing into my brain. I mean, would you like me to ask you? I mean, you can feel free to type it in the chat. Rax, what do you think about pets? Do you have any? We can
Yeah,
bring
come
in
on,
other.
Rex. We all want to know.
Rax, thank you so much for your question. We got the herd asks question for Kiwi. If animals could talk, which one would you think you would? Oh, okay. Whew. If animals could talk, which one do you think would be the rudest?
Oh, the rudest. Um, yeah, probably a saltwater crocodile. One of the Australian animals.
See, I just think they'd be the angriest. I don't know if they'd be necessarily rude as much it'd be just like angry. I don't know. That's
Yeah, yeah.
that's almost one I want to answer just because of how unique that question is. Heard. Thank you so much for your question. DTAP says, let's see. Sorry if this was asked just tuning in. What was your least favorite thing about Farming Simulator, whether it is game breaking bugs in general, or lack of compelling DLC, or lack of vehicles New Zealand styled?
Um, yes, that's my latest hobby horse is right-hand drive trucks. So of course in the UK, New Zealand, Australia, um, and other parts of the world, we drive on the opposite side of the road to America and Europe. Um, and so at the moment, Farm Sim only has left-hand drive vehicles, and it's quite annoying to be playing on, a Australian map or a UK map, or hopefully we get a New Zealand map soon, um, where the steering wheel is on the the wrong side. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're sitting on the side closest to the edge of the road instead of the center line, and it just blows the immersion away. And my greatest fear at the moment, because Giants has done nothing to allay that fear with the screenshots that they've shown, is that they will release a UK map, the Scottish map, and not have right-hand drive trucks. They've got right-hand drive traffic, but they haven't shown any right-hand drive trucks that the players can use. and I really fear that they're going to do an own goal by releasing an English or a UK, sorry, Scottish people. Never want to confuse a Scotsman with an Englishman. To
No.
release a UK Scottish map without having the steering wheel on the correct side. Um, so yeah, that's probably what I'm really disliking at that moment. At the moment, is just that, and yeah, I hope that some modders will swing in and will fix that problem. I remember Black Sheep Modding did a fantastic man truck that you could convert from left-hand drive to right-hand drive, which was absolutely fantastic for those UK maps. So yeah, maybe he'll do something like that with the release of the Scottish map.
Absolutely. And one thing I wanted to point out in chat there, because I just saw it and I, again, almost lost it. Ghost Tech Gaming wrote, crocodiles would be the angriest because they got all those teeth and no toothbrush. Number one, I
Love
love the Happy Gilmore reference. Or, no,
it.
not Happy Gilmore. Sorry, Waterboy. The Waterboy reference. Love it.
Waterboy.
Let's see. Next question we got is from Noah Farms. Asks, Kiwi, what is your favorite brand of truck or semi?
Oh, favorite brand of truck. Depends on whether I'm playing Euro Truck Simulator or American Truck Simulator. American Truck Simulator's probably got to be the old style Kenworth with lashings
Mm,
of chrome all over the place. Oh, apologies, I'm not completely fascinated with trucks enough to know what their designations are. I think it might be a W900, but I'm could be completely wrong there. But yeah, the old style, you know, Kenworth before they got the Aeroflow onto it. Um, and for the European style maps, probably Scania is my favorite truck on that one. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And of course, in New Zealand, we have Kenworths and Scanias all over the place. So it's really good.
and just out of curiosity, over there, do they have like the flat nosed style, kind of like the almost like European style, or is it more like the bull nose, like what they have here in America?
We have both basically. So the European trucks will come with the cab over. That's the flat nose trucks. Um, and we do actually have some Kenworths come in with cab over. I don't know if you remember the old cab over Kenworths. Um,
Vaguely, yeah.
we yeah, we still have those. They still make them for the Australian and New Zealand markets, probably other markets as well, but they are available as new trucks still. But we do have a lot of the front engined American trucks come in, Kenworths, Max, Peterbilts, that's that sort of thing. I think Freightliner as well. We've got here.
Gotcha, gotcha. Let's see. Noah Farms, thank you so much for your question. We got one here from the herd. Asks, did he ask Kiwi about music? If not, what's your favorite bands? I did. I did ask about it, but
Yeah,
feel free
yeah.
to let him know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sort of like mainly rock from the 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah, ones like the Animals, Led Zeppelin, um, Guns N' Roses. Yeah, there's sort of anything in that sort of genre. Um, Pink Floyd, even.
Nice, nice. Again, Herd, thank you so much. We got one here from Ghost Tech Gaming says, I have a right hand truck that I'm using on Yukon backcountry. Really? Well, if you wouldn't mind there, Ghost, go ahead and put it into the chat there and let us know what that mod's called. We can pass it along. Let's see. Got another one here from the herd. Says, question for Kiwi. What's more annoying, a YouTube ad that is unskippable or one that's skippable after 5 seconds but takes 4 seconds to load the skip button?
That's a tough one. Probably the unskippable ads. But we have taken out a YouTube Premium account just so that the family can have their music. Because basically, YouTube was the same price as Spotify for a family account, and YouTube got videos as well. So it was sort of like, let's just go with YouTube.
That's actually a good idea. I never thought of it like that. And then Herd also put in a comment of inquiring minds need to know. Well,
Definitely.
in all fairness, there, Herd, that's the whole kind of premise of this show. And that is the last question that we have for this segment. So now let's go ahead and move on to the next segment here called Meat and Potatoes, emphasis on potatoes. This is where we're going to get to know you for more of your content rather than who you are personally. So, first question I got for you is, do you currently only produce FS content or do you produce other types of content as well?
Primarily, it's just FS content. I did do one live stream with City Skylines too, um, but it didn't seem to go down that well. And I think I can understand why. City Skylines is probably more of a sit and wait for things to happen. So it doesn't really um, loan itself to live streaming. If you watch most City Skylines videos, they're pre-recorded and everyone's doing their jump cuts and their speed ups and all that sort of thing. So yeah, and my wrist just can't handle speeding up on a live stream.
So, you mentioned before that you started playing back in FS17. When did you start actually like producing content?
Okay, for me, content was FS25. I had done a lot of gameplay on Riverbend Springs and had moved on to do a start from scratch on Hutan Pantai, and hard yards of just doing all the contracts. And I was starting to think, hey, I've got this great story. Let's start live streaming. So I started live streaming that one just as I was about to buy a farm. And we carried on from there, set a goal of doing water buffaloes and goats because, of course, they were new animals, um, and put in the rice fields or rice paddies, and doing the planting with a little rice planter and harvester. Um, and yeah, so that's when I started doing it. It was just sort of like, let's stream this and see how it goes.
So you waited quite a while before you really started moving from playing the game to actually producing content. What kind of was the tipping point for you to kind of engage in it after being so involved with the game for so long?
Um, I think it was seeing some of the other live streamers and the um, toing and froing they had in the chat. People would come into the chat; they'd be talking to them in the chat, and yeah, you could see that camaraderie coming out. And I was sort of thinking that could be a lot of fun to have that as well. While I'm playing, and so that's why I sort of started streaming, was to, and I think that's probably why I do stream more than create videos, is because I enjoy having people come in the chat, and you see old friends come in, people that have become old friends, and it's like, hey, great to see you, hope your day's going well, and that sort of thing. And you know um fantastic. Found out, like for me, rocket scientist um, steel custom mod. Gotten his one, but and uh, Klaus were actually the first three people. They all basically started coming into my stream at the same time, and that was fairly early. I'd done a few streams where I was just talking to myself the whole time. But then they came in, and they've sort of been part of the community ever since then. And Klaus jumped into a stream last night and said he was going to be doing some. He's part of a band, and he was going to be doing some live shows in a lot of places around Europe. So that was fantastic to hear, and just yeah, that's what I wanted to do, was meet people and you know um, share my gameplay with other people.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what's one thing that you never expected when you started your channel? And some examples that I give are the sense of community, any kind of unexpected backlash, things along those lines. What are something that happened that you never thought would?
Uh, I never thought people would actually watch my streams and actually enjoy them.
I laugh
you, you
because I
you set
was
out hoping that that's the case.
I laugh because I thought the same exact thing. It's like, who's gonna watch this big old goofy guy? Like, really? And
Yeah,
here we are today with so many people watching us, and just love it. Absolutely love
yeah,
it.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, that was it. Was a community that built up, and just making so many different friends. You know, it's it was way more than I ever expected.
Gotcha. And would you consider Farming Simulator be your favorite game? And if not, what would be?
Yes, Farming Simulator is definitely my favorite game. Um, it's not as dangerous as Civilizations. I say Civilization is dangerous because it's sort of like um, it's 3 a.m. in the morning and you're going one more turn. um, I used to enjoy that a lot, but it's sort of like I had to back off because it was just, I was just, yeah, you just couldn't stop at midnight. You had to carry on. Whereas Farming Simulator's a bit safer. You can stop. Then you go to bed and dream about what you're going to do tomorrow.
That's 100% accurate. 100%. So, one of the kind of running theories that I have in regards to Farming Simulator and the people who play it, and this isn't an always kind of thing, but it's more often true than not, that there's some sort of connection between the individual playing it to whether it's the farm life, growing up on a farm, growing up in like rural communities, seeing a lot of this equipment on an everyday basis kind of thing, whatever the case may be, there seems to be some sort of connection to that kind of rural living. And that thus makes it just easier to then get into the game itself. Do you have that sort of connection to the like rural living or farming or anything along those lines?
um, yeah, I do. I'm not sure it played a big part in me playing Farm Sim because, like I say, I first thought of Farm Sim as who wants to go out and work in a field all day after working. Um, but yeah, I grew up in a small rural town, and most of the a lot of the kids at school were on farms. So yeah, you'd hear all, and some of the work I actually did was I did a lot of work in kiwi fruit orchards
Okay, okay.
that you could be
So
done with kiwi fruit. Yep.
so not the bird, but the actual the little green.
The kiwi fruit, the green furry fruit, yes. It looks like a kiwi, that's why it's called a kiwi fruit.
Just minus the ability to make some massive eggs.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Oh goodness. So kind of walk us through one of your days in which you're going to sit down at the end of it to make content. How does your day start to where you kind of finish with your content? Kind of walk us through it.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I usually have about a couple of maps going at the same time, and you've sort of got end goals that you're trying to work towards. And yeah, I guess it depends on the season that you're on and that sort of thing. Sometimes I have to skip through winter because there's just not much happening. Um, but yeah, you harvest, so then the next session you'll be prepping the field for the next one, um, and that sort of thing. So yeah, you're always planning to do something the next session. So sometimes I might start a job and then finish it off camera just to keep the series moving along. No one wants to see you baling hay all the time. Uh, um, so yeah. It's sort of I try to keep things moving along as much as I can, but still not do too much work where it's sort of like, oh, hey, last time I had all this extra work to do, and now I've got nothing to do. You missed out on it all.
So excuse me. Earlier we discussed some of your favorite maps going back from FS days. Do you have any that you consider to be your least favorite? And mind you, that least favorite doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means that it just didn't hit well with you.
I I don't necessarily like to say this because I know the modders do so much work. Um, but honestly, my least favorite maps are those that come out with 20 required mods. Um, I just don't even bother loading them. Yeah, I'm lucky I'm on a PC, so if I do load them, I've got a mod manager, and I load them up. They download their 200 plus mods that they require, or is it 2000? I don't know. It's just make a random number, um, you know, and you play it and you go, it's okay, and then you uninstall the map, but you've still got all those mods in your folder. So having a mod manager is really good because you can just delete that whole folder. But I really feel for the console players that download the map. And that's what annoys me in Mod Hub a little bit is you click on the map to go, yeah, I want to download it, and then it says, oh yeah, and you need to download these 200 mods, and there's no, you know, no way, man button. It's just sort of like, oh, it's going to happen. You've now got 200 mods slap in the middle of your console that you're going to have to try and weed through and to get rid of because you're never going to use them again. Um, and I think that's really unfair for console players, to be forced to do that. Um, it should be, yes, I want the mods, or no, I don't want the mods, and I'll have a bare map that I do what I want to do with it. That's the way I feel about it. It's not like, and it's not like that's bad for the map maker, because the map maker, let's be honest, didn't have to work hard to create those mods. They've just gone and pulled them off of Mod Hub and put them into the map. So, you know, yeah, the map doesn't look like they want it to look, but people don't necessarily need it to look like they want it to look. That's my another little hobby horse.
No, and that's something I hear very oftentimes is that, anytime that a map comes out and it's got a whole bunch of required mods, that most people that I talk to, they just don't even bother, kind of thing. It's like, I don't want
Mm,
it to muddle up my mods list, and I don't want to have to go back later, when it comes time for me to just delete the map or whatever, to then go and try and find all the subsequent other mods that were related to it. Like, like that's something I hear very oftentimes. But you're
mm,
right; it's a far more manageable thing on the PC side of things. And I used to feel the same exact way when I was on the console. It was like, nope, just like I. Unfortunately, I would do it because I would do map tours and stuff even on the console. So it's just one of those that you
yeah,
kind of have to do it and kind of suck it up, kind of thing. But now it's not as big of a deal as it used to be.
yeah,
S-
yeah, definitely.
So thinking back to all the iterations of Farm Sim that you've belonged in, so 17, 19, 22, and now here in 25. Thinking back to everything prior to 25, what would be one map that if you had powers to just snap your finger and all of a sudden, poof, a map from any of those iterations would come to FS25 exactly the way that you remembered it? What would that one map be?
Probably Griffin, Indiana.
Okay,
That
okay.
one, because I'd done a real proper start from scratch where I walked in off the highway and rented a motel room. Um, and then went out from there to the campground and that sort of thing. So that to me was a really good role play map, and the only thing that I could fault that map with was um, those that watch my streams know I've also got a thing about map edges. Um, I like map edges to be finished. Giants have done a really good job in Riverbend Springs. You know, you hit the edge of the map and you can see the shops carry on in the distance. You know, there's life beyond the edge of the map. Um,
Yep.
and unfortunately, there's seems to be this fixation with it's the edge of the map, so I have to put a wall of trees around it. And yeah, you end up being in this two 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer um, map that is just surrounded by trees. Yeah, I don't mind if it's part of a forest that's going on into the distance, but yeah, just having a wall of trees everywhere, just yeah, I really like it when map makers spend a bit of time on the edge of the map and make it to look like the map carries on into the distance, and yeah, the likes of Oxygen David nail it quite well. Where you can be on the edge of the map, but you're looking into the distance and you're seeing fields and you're going, almost feel like I could drive over to that field and do some work in it. And yeah, that's what I like is that expansiveness in the map.
I could not agree with you more. That's one of the things that I do when I do my map tours is at the very end of it. Well, I kind of go through a structure, and the structure of my map tour is I give all the information about the map that I can possibly muster at the very beginning, and then at the very end, I give my opinion on the map, and I'll give it a 0 to 5 scale ranking, just based on my own kind of personal preference, kind of thing. And one of the things I always look for on a map is that kind of outer border, like you're discussing there. And that if I see that the map maker has gone through the extra effort to make sure that the map edges line up, there's no like uh, great void of, like,
Mm.
hey, there's like this massive drop off, almost like the scene from Silent Hill kind of thing.
Yep.
Things like that. Like there's, if they actually spent the time, like you said, Oxygen David is a good example. There's Black Sheep Modding is another good example.
Mm.
There's, I
Yep.
mean, there's tons of map makers out there that take that extra time. And you're right, it's one of those where it looks like you could just keep on going, and it adds to that immersion to the maps
Yep.
that you get to play on. I don't think there's anything worse than, like you mentioned, the two things that drive me absolutely up a wall: the massive amount of trees on the map edge to kind of hide it, or the kind of massive drop off, or like the uneven terrain that is between the actual playable surface versus the non-playable surface. It drives me up an
Yep.
absolute wall.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I have absolute respect for modders. They do a
Oh, what happened?
you know.
You broke up there. Can you repeat that?
Yep, yep. The modders do a fantastic job. They keep the game fresh. They do a job that I definitely can't do. And I have the utmost respect for modders. And I only say things about the edges of the map, not to put them down, but to try and encourage them to see if they can improve on their map making skills. Um, so yeah, like I say, total utmost respect for all modders that put their time and effort into making these maps, and doing the jobs that they do to make the game the way it is.
Oh yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It's one of those where the fact that the modders that we have out there, modders, map makers, whatever they're doing out there, they bring a level to the game that would not exist. Like, let's face it, if it wasn't for the modders, Farming Simulator and really any other game like it wouldn't have the amount of life and legs that it has. So, because of the modding community that does exist, it provides a game that has such longevity that it just wouldn't have otherwise. So yeah, huge respect to every modern map maker out there. They make the game into what it is, and huge amount of respect for them. That's why, again, when I do render my opinion, I don't go with like a quote unquote an attack or anything like that. Just I sit there and it's like, okay, from my point of view, from my perspective, this is what I would rank it, and I give what I attempt is constructive criticism kind of thing. It's like we mentioned before, the map edges and the kind of outer non-playable area, things along those lines. Like, hey, if this could be addressed, it would bump it up to the next level kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah. And there are some really fantastic maps that if the edges did go off into the distance, they would be absolutely stunning maps.
absolutely, and you can think of those kind of maps too, where there's so many fields on that kind of outer band that you're going to be spending a lot of time working on the periphery. So you're going to be constantly reminded of that kind of outer non-playable area because you're going to be right on top of it kind of thing. So it's one of those where if the map kind of fits the presence of, like, let's say like a forestry map where a whole bunch of trees are everywhere kind of thing, then it makes sense to have that kind of tree wall, or the kind of expanse kind of going out. But yeah, like I said, not
Yeah,
to
definitely.
dwell on that, but that's yeah, map makers, modders, they're absolutely top notch.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, do you keep up with like the news and upcoming events for Farming Simulator?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's one of the first things I do when I wake up is actually grab my phone, jump onto the web browser, and look at what Giants have released on ModHub, and their news and all that at the bottom. So yeah, I'm sure I don't have a problem. I'm 100% sure.
So, out of curiosity, of the maps that have been announced coming to FS25, which one are you most looking forward to?
Yeah. Obviously, I am looking forward to the Highland fishing map. Um, I think fishing will be a whole new dynamic. Something a bit different to crops and onions. That's another root crop, so uh, possibly hard to get overly excited about onions. But fishing, I think, could be quite good. Um, it is, I guess, more just moving pallets around and all that sort of thing, but it is something that's different. So looking forward to that. From a mod point of view, I'm definitely looking forward to Oxygen David's new map when it gets released, because he does a fantastic job. Um, he is a true artist. Leonardo da Vinci of farming sim, or pick your favorite artist. He what he does with his medium is just, he really does set the bar high for everyone else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's certainly one I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to like Carpathian countryside as well. There's just so many maps
Mm.
out there. I know that Black Sheep Modding is coming out with one here soon. Um, yeah, it's we are definitely in some good times ahead territory kind of thing when it comes to maps.
Yes, yes. It takes time for a good map to come out, and I think that's what people don't understand. The maps we've been getting, um, I don't want to say are rushed, but it does take time to make a good map, and people, human nature is, I want it now. I want it now, and people have been providing, map makers have been providing people with the now. But I think there are some really great gems coming up very soon.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing too is especially in the modern internet age, we're all used to having things like now, now, now. There's no
Mm,
patience or understanding, not understanding, but there's no like toning back of the want and desire of having things immediately, that instant gratification kind of thing. um
yeah.
but when you're talking about maps like Oxygen David's, I can't necessarily blame people for like I want it now. I can't hold them at fault for that one, because I kind of agree. I kind of want it now too.
Yeah, yeah.
So before Farm Sim 25 released, what was the one feature that you were most excited over?
Yeah, for me, it was probably the water dynamics. Um, I can remember Zelonka had a flooded area that when it rained, there was a water plane turned up on it. But when you drove through it, it just didn't, there was no movement or anything like that. You just sort of sunk down in it. Um, so when they showed the vehicles driving through rice paddies and you're seeing the ripples and the water movement, and it was sort of like, wow, that is amazing. And that's probably the biggest thing. And it all back in.
Oh, we lost you there just for a quick second there. What was that last bit you said?
Yeah, in Zelonka, they never put the puddle back in, so we couldn't get to drive through that puddle in Zelonka anymore.
But they do have that one little bit of basically that little two track that's right there next to the bridge, just east of the starting farm, I think it is.
Yes, yes, I've still got that. Yes.
Yes. Um, so what was one feature that you were initially excited over, but you kind of fell out of love with it after you got to experience it?
Yeah, I think it was probably the dynamic weather, and I think it was possibly because um, when the game originally came out, there was that bug in it that when you got hail damage, you couldn't just cultivate over the field anymore. You had to plow the whole field, and I know hail damages crops, but it doesn't damage ground. But and I was a big fan. I'm a big fan of direct planting, so the fact that I couldn't just direct plant over a field that had suffered hail damage without seeing all that damage in the new field, in the new crop, was just frustrating. So it was sort of like, yeah, turn it off.
Yeah, no, I understand you there. That was honestly one of the things I was most excited about was that uh like crop destruction, not crop destruction, just the weather events. And I had always said up until this point, one of my favorite features, and it was back in FS19, was seasons. And what I loved about seasons was the fact that it created consequences for certain things, like the germination failure, um, the windrows and swaths that you would leave down on the ground. If you left them down too long, they would just kind of disappear.
Mm,
All those kind of things. And that's what kind of reminded me that this was kind of bringing back was okay. We're they're going to experience not necessarily consequences of our own actions, but going to experience things that are going to kind of remove the expectation of I'm going to get 100% of my crop off of my field kind of thing. And there's
mm,
that thing where, that can happen in real life. A small farm can be absolutely devastated by, a crop not taking hold or a disastrous weather event or whatever the case may be. A drought, a fire, so many different things. And there's mods out there for FS25 for PC players that will kind of add those additional consequences in. But yeah, it was just one of those like, okay, I can see where they're going with this and I like it. I don't think that it's been executed too well, but it is what it is.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I can see where they're going with it. Insect, and you have to spray insects, or if you want to go the organic way, which is a possible way of doing it. Maybe you could plant a a crop to go with it that they use, or just accept the fact that organically you're going to have a lower harvest yield than you would if you were using chemical pesticide. um, and that would give you the chance to make those decisions based on how you feel ethically about different things. Which is basically what the game is all about. It is such a huge sandbox that you can just play how you want to play, and do what you want to do with it. And you know two people can.
Oh, what are you doing to me, Discord? Do, 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 do. Oh,
I'm dropping out again, am I?
yep, yep. Let's see. I think it's coming back though. Discord is fighting with us now. First it's YouTube, now it's Discord. Why?
Discord.
Can we just not have a nice friendly chat amongst us? I mean, come on.
It's all those angry birds and animals in Australia. They're attacking the data center that we all route through.
It's the snakes. They again. They chose anger. So the snakes, the crocodiles, the kangaroos, the koalas, like all of them are just going out there. The platypus, like why not? Just everything and everyone. Even animals that don't exist in Australia, they migrated over just to mess with us here tonight. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I don't know.
Uh,
Anyways,
yeah.
what's one feature then farming or I'm sorry, what's one feature not in Farming Simulator that you really wish was there?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the original seasons. I really enjoyed that. The dumbed down version of seasons that we've got. Um, it's I really would like to see that in Farm Sim. Um, if you like you say, if you leave grass out, it rots.
Yep.
You leave hay out, it rots. You've got to store it properly. You've got to you can't just leave a pile of it out in the open. Um, so for me, not so much into the you got to leave it in the sun to dry because quite often I usually compress a week's I like to think I'm compressing a week's worth of work into a day. So I usually play 4-day seasons. So 4 weeks. And so that's generally what I do. And sometimes, yeah, um, if it's raining all day, you're not going to dry your hay in the sun. So I wasn't too keen on that one, but having the grass rot in the field was a really great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm right there with you. That was one of my favorites back when I first started playing FS19 was the seasons mod. And having it be able to adjust the geo manually, to get the specific weather events from your specific area that you want it to be. So if you're on Griffith, Indiana, you can get their specific geo or get a geo of that state kind of thing. So it align the weather events or the weather patterns, the temperature and all that for that specific location. Or if you're in, I don't know, like some UK map, you can have a UK geo. That was one of the coolest things I thought is that it wasn't tied directly to the map, but you could have a map that was pretty universal for the most part. It could be pretty much anywhere, and you could tie the geo to whatever kind of season that you want it to be. I thought that was a really cool thing and something that we kind of let go by the wayside. But again,
Yeah,
is what it
yeah.
is.
No, I do remember those that you could have. Any sort of geo that you wanted. You could take a UK map and give it a Southern Hemisphere geo and get the summertime in December.
Exactly, exactly. It was just like I said. It was just one of those that was a nice little feature to have. So, what are some of your most and least favorite jobs to do in Farm Sim?
Okay, least favorite is probably root crops, harvesting root crops. Um, Favorite job is probably grass work, mowing, making hay or silage bales. It's just so relaxing, and I enjoy that.
And as a content creator, what would be the kind of, or what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out in this field?
Um, just yeah, be yourself, relax, enjoy the game. If you're enjoying the game, people are going to enjoy watching you enjoy the game. Um, and from a technical point of view, get a vertical stream working. It really does help.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what's been your most memorable moment of your content creation career so far?
Ooh, probably the most memorable moment was when I had my 24-hour live stream, and we went onto a map with multiplayer, and we did a whole lot of silage work, corn silage, and just had a whole crew in there just working on it. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. That does sound like fun. So, who of all the map makers out there, who would you consider to be your absolute all-time favorite map maker?
Ooh, Oxygen David definitely rates up there, but I think Alien Jim gets there by a nose. Um, just the stuff that Alien Jim added into his maps. Mercury Farms was another one where the house was all boarded up, and you had to press a button to set the house up, get the farm usable. Yeah, he sort of invented the constructibles that Giants now has. And he had the sheds that you brought flat packed, and then you pressed a button, you could see them all build.
Mm-hmm.
um and he had a ferry, a barge in Spectacle Island that with what Giants are doing now. you know it, he was doing that well before Riverbend Springs. And then he had that big causeway that you drive through, and it's sort of like, imagine that with the waters that we've got
Oh
now.
man. Yeah.
um,
Go ahead.
so yeah, I think yeah, you know, but of course that's all in the past, and he's moved on, and wish him all the best. But we do miss you, Alien Jim. We do miss you much.
I tell you what, Alien Jim, if this comes across your ears one day, please come home. Please come home. We miss you.
we
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 miss
love
you
you guys,
terribly.
mate. We love you.
Oh, so was there any creator that you would say that you kind of took inspiration from? You'd mentioned earlier, Mr. Sealy P. You mentioned Daggerwin. Would you consider them to be kind of your inspiration when you first started your channel, or do you feel like you just kind of like went out on your own kind of thing?
No, definitely Mr. Silly P. Um, yeah, he's just a true gentleman, and yeah, he's got such a nice style about how he does his videos. Um, yeah, he's calm, he's relaxed, and he always seems to have he always had a reason why he was working on a map, and he'd come up with some really inventive things. And some of the maps really lent themselves where he was stranded on an island, and he'd got his daughter to put in a whole lot of random equipment. He didn't even know where she'd put the equipment, so he was discovering we'd see him discover the equipment when he discovered the equipment. um, and yeah, he was just such an inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. I've mentioned it a few times here on the channel as well that yeah, I directly attribute Mr. Sealy P and the work that he did to the reason why I felt comfortable enough with starting my channel. So yeah, big shout out to Mr. Sealy P and really all other creators like him and before you and I. They kind of laid the groundwork for people like myself to be able to come in and do what it is that I do here. So I definitely big shout out to all of them. Now, the last
Definitely.
question that I have for you here in this segment is if you had the ability to make a map of real life, let's say you had all the prerequisite skills, you knew how to do the coding, you knew how to do the Lua, you knew how to do the modeling designs, the whole 9 yards, you had all the knowledge. Where would that map be based off of and why?
Oh, that is a really good question. Yeah, New Zealand is really difficult to build a map in because it's mainly just um, animal farming. There's not a lot of arable farming because there's just not enough flat land. We're very much rolling hills all over the place. Um, so, yeah, probably be somewhere in the UK. Um, yeah, I don't have um, great ties. Like my both my grandparents farmed, but I don't have great ties because they weren't farming when I knew them. So I don't have any particular ties to any part of the land. I know where they farmed, but there's no particular ties to that. So um, and I just tend to go more for the UK maps because I grew up watching so much UK TV and seeing the scenery around the UK and all that I feel really at home with the UK maps. So, but I don't know of anywhere in the UK that I would particularly want to have a map. So, yeah, that's a really tough question for me. Yeah, where would I build a map? Um, yeah, sorry, can't really answer that one.
Oh, that's okay. Not to worry. Like I said, that was the last question I had for that segment there. So we're going to go ahead and set our sights back on the chat there and see what all has been transpiring there. Feel like they've been, kind of plotting on us behind our backs here. Let's see. Got one here from Ghost Tech Gaming. So he responded in regards to that left-hand drive or right-hand drive vehicle
Right.
there. It's the 1979 Toyota Land Cruiser single cab, and he sent a
Ah,
link. And
nice.
if you want, I can send it to you after the stream there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Let's Rocket Scientist says, "I met you thanks to Kyram."
Yeah, Kurum Gaming. Yep.
Let's see. That's next one is from Dustman. He says, "I thoroughly enjoy your live streams, even though you stream in the wee hours of the morning for me in the U.S. Your voice is very calm and soothing, and your gameplay is very easygoing. Thank you."
Thank you, Dust Bunny. Very kind of you to say.
Let's see. Next one we have here is from Ken Adlam. He says, "I used to watch my dad build homes made hay elevators for local farmers." Oh, very nice.
Cool.
Next one we got here is from Ghost Tech Gaming. Says, "I gotta go for now. Got a long day tomorrow with family coming over. Kiwi is really nice to finally get to know you personal level. Always enjoyed your content and keep up the excellent work. Hope to work with you one day on a multiplayer."
Uh, Definitely. Would look forward to that. Thank you.
Excellent. Ghost, thank you so much for coming out here tonight. Thank you for your questions. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day, and you take care there, bud. Next one we have is from Rocket Scientist. Says, "Everyone be sure to make your map edges Kiwi approved. Otherwise, he'll be under your bed." Oh, goodness.
Uh,
Rocket
yeah, I
Scientist.
start going on about map edges, and I'm sure everyone in the chat just rolls their eyes all at the same time.
Well, see, I will be along there with you. I will 100 take up that sword with you. Oh Oh goodness. Rocket scientist, thank you so much for that one. We got Ken says, would you like to see hay elevators introduced in FS25? Whether it would be homemade or factory made.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be an extra bit of gameplay. Yeah, especially with the smaller bales, the hand liftable ones. Um, have be good for multiplayer to have it go up into the top of the to make a stack at the bottom, and then as it goes up, you have to use an elevator to feed it. That would be good. Yeah.
So me personally, not so much, and it's it's actually because of a little bit of a life story from way back when. So my grandfather owned a farm, and he would do every summer. He'd do loads and loads of bales. He'd load them up in the barn with his little elevator there. But in those days, I was way too small to be able to help, so I would just kind of run around and do my own thing. Well, one year I decide, oh, it would be a good idea to go climb into the back of his pickup truck. And he had a bunch of bales stacked up in the bed of his pickup truck. And I just start jumping from one side to the other kind of thing. Well, what I didn't realize at the time is that in the center of the pickup truck was this like metal post right in between the bales. And it was obvious that it was there. It was just being a kid. I might have been like,
Mm.
I don't know, like 4 or 5 years old, somewhere in that ballpark. Just didn't care. And I'm just jumping back and forth, and I trip and I smack my head right on that metal post and split my face wide open. And yeah, so needless to say, ever since then, hay elevators and we don't get along that well.
Good
uh,
enough reason. Good enough reason.
but but no, you know what? I won't deprive the other gamers out there for hay elevators. So I will remove my trauma and say that it's a good addition. Ken, thank you so much. Next one we got here is from Swim Shady. He says, I foresee a lot of tears harvesting them onions. Whew, yeah. And it's because it's a root crop.
Definitely.
Now,
Yep.
that actually kind of reminds me of a question that I was going to ask you earlier. So, one of the things that I was very hesitant about when it came to FS25 was the new crops that we were going to get. And the reason I was so hesitant about them, so I'm referring to like the peas, the green beans, and the spinach. The reason I
Mm.
was so hesitant about those particular crops coming out is that I was fearful they were going to be exactly the way that cotton is, meaning that in order to get into it as a product, you'd have to have such massive amounts of money on the front end in order to be able to do the harvesting. So, a
Yep.
cheapest in-game harvester for a cotton is like $600,000 or something like that. It's a massive amount of money, and that's for the square bales. But if you want the round baler, it's like $800,000 give or take. And I was fearful that those new crops were going to be the same exact way, that their harvesters were going to be three, four, $500,000 per harvester kind of thing. And it was just one of those. I was genuinely frightful of that, and it turned out I was 100% right.
Yep.
And
Right. Yes.
we're only just now starting to get like the kind of downstream of the modding community being able to kind of put forth the effort to bring some additional components. I'm aware of the one mod that came out. It was taken away, but from what I understand, they're working on getting it back there. It was supposed to release with another mod, but it's a cotton harvester where you basically harvest the material loose, and then you put it into a separate baler kind of thing, and you'd load it up loose into the baler as a separate component, and then you'd have it spit out a bale kind of thing. And it's
Yep.
significantly cheaper than what you'd have to get with the self-propelled harvester slash baler. So, unfortunately, because the new crops are new crops, as far as I'm aware, we're not getting much from the community to be able to, add the balers, add the harvesters, add all that extra equipment, um, because of the kind of lockout phases that the modders have to go through for those new crops and new components. Um, so it's one of those that it's really kind of saddens me that it's not as easily accessible unless you go through like the Chris S. Riley S. route with the complete Colossus harvesters and things like that, where it's going to be,
Mm.
for the most part, unrealistic and just kind of, slapped like through the process kind of thing. So I guess that's a
Yeah.
long way of saying, yeah, sad to see how the new crops have turned out, and that there's not a lot of other stuff that's helping to kind of bring a more uh, gentle approach into those crops.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Those machines are really expensive. So if you're doing a start from scratch, they're definitely out of your price range. So then it's not a crop that you can really get into at all. You can definitely buy a harvester way cheaper than you can, a wheat, oat, barley harvester way cheaper than you can a spinach, beans, or pea harvester.
100%. Yep. Yep. Let's see. Swim Shady, thank you so much for your comment there. We got one from Majors Gaming. Says, I'm sorry if this has been asked already, but what is your most favorite task as well as your least favorite task? Uh, I must have literally asked that right after.
Just to say.
But
Yeah.
if you want,
So recap. Yep. Baling and harvesting. Baling is my favorite task. Least favorite is root crop harvesting.
Majors, thank you so much for your question there. Let's see. We got one from Dust Bunny says, I wish Alien Jim would at least release his animated animals pens and buildings. That would be awesome. Yeah, here's the thing is I personally I would love it if at minimum he'd give permissions for others to be able to come up and do them on his behalf kind of thing. That would be really cool. I understand I understand modders not wanting to do that necessarily, even if they have no intentions on bringing it to the game kind of things. You don't know if one day they just might change their mind kind of thing. And then,
Hmm.
it's not up to their standard or whatever the case may be. So on one hand, I'm like, I wish they would, but on the other hand, I'm like, I understand them saying no. So
Hmm.
let's see. Got another one from Dustman. He says, question, have you ever considered doing a gameplay on Hoff Bergman map? There's a lot of hands-on gameplay.
Have looked at it, but I sort of look at it and go, that looks like too much hard work. It is a very, very complicated map. They do a fantastic job on it. The modders are absolutely amazing at what they're achieving on that map. But yeah, I sort of look at it and go, oh, I don't know.
All right. Well,
Good
that
question though, Dust Bunny.
though absolutely. And that does appear to be the last question that we have here tonight. So let's go ahead and move into our third and final segment called That's a Silage Wrap. This is where we're going to start rounding out and ending the show. First off, Kiwi Sim Farmer, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I had an absolute blast with you here tonight.
It's been an absolute pleasure and honestly a complete honor to be here. I feel like I've joined the ranks of some absolutely amazing YouTubers, and feel I'm not really worthy to be here, to be honest. But thank you so much.
Well, it was absolutely my pleasure to have you on there. And trust me, don't take this show as a measure of greatness or anything like that. We're just here having a good old time. That's about it.
You are the Parkinson of YouTube. if you know who Parkinson is, he was.
I am
Um,
not aware of them.
I'm just
Who's
trying to
that?
think. Is it Johnny Carson was a talk show host in the US?
Yeah, yeah, Johnny Carson. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yep. So Parkinson was the UK version um, of Johnny Carson. So if you were the in person at the time, you were interviewed by um, Johnny Carson or Parkinson. So
Well,
you're up there with them.
I will hold that comment in the utmost regards. Thank you so much. That's gonna make me smile for a while. But wow, that how do you follow up with that one? But again, thank you so very much for coming out here, and thank all of you for joining us here tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed it. And this is where I'm going to set my sights on the chat themselves and say, did you enjoy it here tonight? I know I sure did. If you did and you want to see more content like this, go ahead and think about some of those creators out there that you would love to see on this show. There's tons of people out there, but unfortunately, I cannot know every single person that's out there. It'd be absolutely impossible. But with everybody out there tonight, if you put out your feelers out there and you know of somebody that you'd like to see on this show, go ahead and reach out to me. Let me know of those people, and I will do my absolute best to get them on the show. It's one of those too that if you are a content creator, map maker, modder, even a farmer, if you are somebody out there that has any sort of connection with Farming Simulator, and I include farmers in there because without the farmers, we'd have no Farm Sim. But if you're somebody out there and you want to be on the show, feel free to reach out to me. Don't be shy, kind of thing. And I will do my best to free up time to schedule you to be able to bring you onto the show. The only requirement I have is that you have to be over the age of 18. If you're not over the age of 18, I'm sorry, gonna have to wait until you are. So one of those just can't take the liability for the channel. So hope that you understand. All that being said, yeah, like I said, I had an absolute blast here tonight. Thank all of you for joining us here tonight. If you enjoyed it, please show us by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things. The algorithms enjoy you doing the shows. You're engaged with this channel, enjoying the content. And that being said, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care. Kiwi, hang on for just 1 second till after the outro, and I'll catch you on the other side.
Yeah, no problem. And hey, big thank you to your family too for letting you do this. It's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Big, you know what? Big shout out to my wife and kids. Without them, like none of this would be possible. Like absolutely none. My wife is an absolute rock, and she, does so much to support me on the back end. So big shout out to them. Love them. Love you, sweetheart. Yeah. Again, thank you all so very much for coming out here tonight. Y'all take care.
This is Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Let's roll. Out here in the country, where the roads run wide, there's a world behind the pixels that we're bringing to the light. From maps to mods to the rigs we drive, we're talking to the folks who keep this farm life alive. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. He's got questions rolling like a big John Deere, digging deep with modders so their voices we can hear.